Spoiler. Okay, great. All right. Hello. Hi. My name is John. A lot of people call me Mojo. Before I get into that, though, I would like to start with a story. Oh, this is messing me up. Hang on. Okay. So, story time. Oh, the title, by the way, Rocky and Bullwinkle style, where you got the alternate titles. Reporting for hackers, kind of tongue-in-cheek, versus one of the many reasons why Microsoft Word pretty much sucks. I'm kind of curious, who does offensive work, penetration testing? Raise your hands high, please. I really want to know who all in the room is doing that. Who's generating reports of any kind? Who's using Microsoft Word to do it? That's lower than I thought, actually. I'd be curious to know what everyone's using that's doing reporting but not using Word. So story time. Back in college, it was around the year 2000, group work. You have multiple people, and you'd say, okay, you go work on this, type it up, you go work on this, type it up, blah, blah, blah. And then you try to merge all that content. Have you ever done that? Is it fun? No. Somebody said, yeah? You got an odd idea of fun. It's miserable. I mean, the tab stops, the fonts, unless you get all that stuff defined beforehand, and you wouldn't know it the first time you go through it unless, anyway. But it's painful. It's a miserable, miserable process. And then if you got multiple people working on something, you're trying to merge things, plus version control in it, you end up like naming the document so that you got some kind of version in the name, and it's just awful. I hate it. I grew a disdain for Microsoft Word back then, and I don't think I've really touched it much since then. If I have to, I try to get out of it somehow. I walk away, I'm like, not for me. So, not long ago, I had to come up with, I was involved in a project where the report was a key component of how well one did at this project. I mean, like massively key. And I was sweating it because I didn't want to use Word. Didn't know what else was available. I knew of Markdown. Who's heard of Markdown? That's better than I thought. That's good. How about asciidoc? Anybody heard of asciidoc? 1, 2, that's not, okay. So they're kind of similar, and we'll get into some of the similarities. And I started playing around with it, and I wanted to figure out a way to make a really nice-looking report, not using Word. Markdown kind of did what I wanted to do, but not really. asciidoc served a better purpose. So we'll get into the credential slide. My name is John Molesa. My friends call me Mojo. It's not required. You can call me John, Mojo, either one. I spoke last year at CarolinaCon. I was the moonshine guy. I did Redneck Sec, where I was comparing. Woo! Yeah! Rednecks in the audience. Excellent. There's no shame in that. So the Bobby name, let me get into that for a moment, because there's some confusion. I didn't come up with it. I did not make this up. Some guys that I used to work with, I lived in the mountains. I have a beard from North Carolina. I grew up here my whole life. Kind of look like a redneck. Plus, I drive a truck, a pickup truck. And we were talking about nicknames one day, and they were goofing. Talladega Nights, Ricky Bobby, and I was... My full name is Robert Jonathan Molesa. There's so many nicknames that could be had out of that. I don't know why my parents settled on John, which is a nickname of my middle name. And I was complaining, so they decided to come up with a new nickname for me. Bobby, Ricky Bobby, he's a redneck, I'm a redneck. You getting it right now? So far, so good? All right. So the convoluted part comes from transposing syllables. You take the first part of your last name, which would be, in my case, M-O-L, and then you drop the consonant, so M-O. And then you do the same thing for your first name, J-O, and then you transpose them, and then you add Bobby to it. That's your Bobby name. One guy was named Bobby Stabber, which was kind of cool. It sounded violent. Bobby No-Da was another fella, and then Bobby Mojo was me. And then eventually, Bobby got dropped and Mojo stuck. So anyway, I'm involved with B-Side Charlotte, and if you haven't been there, I'd love to see you come out. I'd love to see you submit if you got a topic. I've been involved with OWASP Charlotte for several years, and Charlotte 2600, because it's 2600. 2600 is awesome. So, I missed it. Daggone it. So this presentation offers, I'm going to share something that's been kind of a labor of love. I had to do it, and then I fell in love with it because it just kind of fit the way that I work really well, which would make sense because I was searching for a solution. My personal goals when I'm creating reports, which honestly I'd rather not create. Does anybody enjoy creating reports? Yeah, not a single hand. It's, somebody pointed, yeah, you like creating reports? No? What's that? I don't think it's going to be a hard sell to do an argument against Microsoft Word in this crowd. Does anybody love Microsoft Word? Am I going to hurt it? No, right. Yes. Who said that? We're going to take him out back and beat him afterwards. And then we'll get into asciidoc, which is honestly pretty fabulous. So the toolchain consists of, obviously, asciidoc, which is, no, hang on, I'll say that in a minute. A2X, which is a component of asciidoc. It handles the PDF generation portion of it. We'll get into that as well. asciidoctor, which is a separate tool, but does similar function. Vim, any Vim? Yeah, couple, woo! Anybody Emacs? Really, one? Okay, so there's going to be no holy wars then. This is excellent. I think that's long been settled, apparently. And then Git. Git fits into this. The interesting component with this is versioning and kind of group collaboration, the part I was complaining about earlier where you're trying to merge content from multiple people. And all these tools are standard pipeline friendly, meaning they have standard output, and you can kind of shuffle data wherever you want to. Booyah. So my goals when I was putting this together is talk up. See, I'm turning my head to look at this. That's the problem. How about I do this? Let me see. Is that better? 5 minutes? Oh, my God. All right, man, we're going to have to move. Okay, wait. All right. I can deal with that. So my personal goals when I was putting this together is, I can't read that. Oh, yeah, I'm not wearing underwear. Oh. Okay, when I was putting this together, I really wanted to share what I've done because it might be useful to other people. It may not. I don't know. I've put a lot of work into it. It's valuable to me. It might be valuable to you. If not, that's fine. If it is, that's great. What I hope you leave here with is a new tool you can add to your toolbox. I'm hoping you find it to be useful and you want to use it in your own projects and reporting. Is that better? I think that sounds better now. Does it? Okay. I'll give you some templates that you can base your projects off of, and they're modular. They're pretty cool. And I'm interested in ideas on how it can be improved upon, actually. This is new for me. I don't really know what the heck I'm doing. It just serves my purpose, and I just kind of keep going with it. Hopefully you'll get some pep in your step by the time you've employed this, because you're going to get back all this massive amounts of time that you used to sit there and munch stuff in Word and whatever you were doing to generate reports. And no one enjoys doing Word documents, but I do know one guy who can bang them out pretty quickly. I mean, it's pretty amazing. All right, so my personal goals when I'm writing reports is honestly not to have to write them, but if I have to, then that's fine. I want the source to be in, obviously, plain text. I want it to be able to generate a nice-looking PDF. PDF is kind of the standard format. There's also other formats that this thing will output, but PDF is kind of the default when you're shuffling reports around in email, right? Nice-looking, and automation. This thing is, you'll see later, but there's some opportunity for automating what you do, setting up your projects, building folder structures, templates, and then all you have to do is populate it with the data that you want to generate in your final output. So what is asciidoc? asciidoc is a simplified markup language. It's very similar to Markdown. Does anybody, I want to see a show of hands, who has not heard of Markdown at all? Has no idea what it is? Nobody? One hand? 2 hands? Okay. 3? Some shy hands. If you've ever written HTML by hand, it's painful. You're It's broken thoughts. You're typing your ideas, and then you got to do tags. And you're like, oh, crap. Back up. You make mistakes. Markdown and asciidoc make it much simpler. And I don't think anybody in this crowd is going to struggle with this. It's written in Perl. And I don't really particularly care for Perl, but it's stable and it works. It was written by a guy named Stuart Rackham. I don't know much about him other than the fact that he created asciidoc, and it really suits my purposes. There's a URL there if you want to go learn about him. If you drop the everything after the slash, that's the site where you can find all the information about asciidoc. They got great documentation. It's an excellent project. It's not hard to pick up. So what can you create with asciidoc? You can create PDFs, EPUBs, articles, documentation, man pages, blog posts, slideshows. This one is written in asciidoc. It's available at that URL if you want to scan the QR code. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Oh, somebody's scanning. I'll leave it there for a minute. All right. So here's an example document. This is what asciidoc looks like. Single equals is like an H1 tag, 2 equal signs, H2, and so on and so forth. Standard paragraphs. The idea for me is that I'm doing this for assessments, penetration test reports. And I'm trying to do it as quickly as possible because honestly, you generally don't have enough time to do all the things you want to do. And reporting is the least of the favorite. This is what HTML output looks like by default. You pipe this through asciidoc, it cranks that out. This is where I get crazy. I love this. This is a PDF output. And you can see the table of contents over here that's navigable. And then you got the clickable table of contents in the document. Word doesn't do this by default. I saw a grimace. You don't like that? No? Oh, that's okay. Okay. That's your impressed face? Oh, that's better. That's better. So when you got hundreds of pages of documentation to pour through and you're flipping back and forth between parts of the document, it gets to be a pain in the butt unless you've got something that you can click on. And the more levels you go down, the more tree structure you have over here. And this is true in Adobe Acrobat, Max, PDF Preview, and anything on Linux. Anything that can properly read a PDF will display this. It makes it easy to share. It makes it easy to navigate. People can get to the information they want as quickly as possible, make it actionable, and then they can move on with their day. Is that impressive? I think that's impressive. I mean, minimal effort, that produces that. Right? Doing something like this in Microsoft Word is not fun. It's not fun. And it's not automatic. You have to do something with the table of contents that I don't really like doing. But the table of contents is a nice feature. Is that impressive? Yes, no? Yeah? This is dry. This is not as interesting as the talk last year. I'm sorry. It just isn't. There's just no way I can make this interesting. I'm sorry? No. I can give you a yee-haw, though. Yeah? So we're going to build an example report, and it's going to get a little tedious because it's going to be pretty obvious what's going on very quickly. At the end, you'll be able to take it and do whatever you want with it. So metadata. Metadata is kind of cool. You comment it out with 2 slashes, and this dictates to asciidoc how to process the source into the final output. So asciidoc is a file format as well as kind of like a compiler, you could think of it. It compiles to many different output formats. And these are controls to the LaTeX backend, so PDF specifically. You got things that control the depth of the table of contents. There's a watermark that if you leave it, it puts this little DB LaTeX icon inside the document. It's not pretty, and it took a little while to figure out how to get rid of it. And it was this line right here. And it doesn't look good on this screen, but it's basically just says publisher.show equals 0. If you like it, you can turn it back on with a .1. But it took a little while to figure that one out. These are the defaults that I use for any report that I'm generating. All right, there's a couple of different ways to do section titles. One is called underline, and you can kind of see how the depth works here, H1 through H5. I don't like this method, but some might. And then you've got this one, which is similar to what I like. The trailing equals at the end, I think, are optional, but it's visual to help you navigate your source document whenever you're going back over and you're browsing up and down. It'll work perfectly fine without them, which is the way that I prefer to do it. Okay. So text formatting, you got bold, emphasized, and monospaced. All useful whenever you're generating reports. URLs, very simple to do. I mean, extremely, this is simpler than Markdown even. It's like 2 keystrokes less, right? Images, also extremely easy. You got inline and block images. There's a little mojo monkey on a computer. There was a inline and then block. And if you notice, I tried to put the block, so the difference between inline and block is a single colon, right? Or 2 colons versus a single colon, right? So inline is a single colon, block is 2 colons. And I'll put a 2 colon inline, and it won't generate it, and then the 2 colon here, it generates, because that's a block element. Make sense? Okay. Paragraphs, pretty self-explanatory, and then you've got literal paragraphs, which, because this is also an asciidoc format, when you compile the presentation, it tries to compile some of it. It doesn't do the bullet list properly. Listings and literals. Listing blocks and literal blocks are the 2 most common ones that I use, and this is really where you bury output from other tools. You want to preserve the tool output, so this is a good place to do it. You'll see in a minute. Sidebar blocks, I don't really use those. They're kind of interesting. It's like a text, like a book, like O'Reilly book, where they have the sidebar. Quote blocks. An example block, I use that one sometimes. Comment block. So the cool thing about this is when you're dumping output from other tools into this document, you can maintain the tool output, but you can leave it out of your final your report, right? You want to keep it as part of the assessment, something that you're tracking, but you don't want it to become part of the tool or the report output, right? You don't want to pass it on. You can comment it out. Open blocks look like this. More block elements, and there's quite a few of them. One thing to note here is the include, and we'll get into that in a minute. It's just an include statement. And you can include files of all sorts. Tables are extremely easy to generate, much easier than HTML. It's just a pipe, equals, and then columns. One thing to note is 4 equal signs is all that's required for for the asciidoc processor to recognize it. The rest of it's just for your benefit. It just looks nicer when you have more of them, right? It's easier to read. And then the other thing to note are the attributes. Whenever you compile it to HTML, these are the attributes that get applied to the table in the HTML. And there's a lot of them. I'm going to let you look at them, study them for a moment. Got it? All right, perfect. Bulleted list, or asterisks. Numbered list of all sorts, and this is the one that doesn't render properly, so I left it out. Labeled, I don't use the labeled list. I don't even know what they're for. This is what they look like. More inline elements. Footnotes are useful whenever you want to make a reference to a vulnerability description or a fix of some sort. This asciidoc compiler doesn't do the syntax highlighting, but it's a very nice feature, and you'll see it in a moment. And you can force a page break with 4 brackets. asciidoctor is yet another processor. Actually, you know what? I want to show you this. This is the source document we were looking at previously. This is what it looks like compiled to HTML. Pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. And then the tool I was just mentioning is asciidoctor, which is written in Ruby. So there's a bunch of Rubyists. They like Ruby. They rewrote they did a Ruby implementation of asciidoc. The benefit of that is it has a much prettier looking HTML output. I don't personally like the HTML output. By default, it's a little more modern, especially when you get into tables. It does the alternating row colors. All right. Anybody want to see a demo? Yes? All right. So let's try it. Everything crashed right before I started. So I had it all set up. Real nice. My mouse is over here. Now it's here. let's see here. Interesting or not interesting? Be honest, it's fine. Yeah? Yeah. Yeah? Think it would be useful to you? I'm getting this. All right. Reporting for hackers. Wait, that's it. I really hate that everything crashed right before. All right, we're getting there. Well, this is not good. All right, so let's see what we got here. This is terrible. Terrible. This is absolutely terrible. Alt-tab? No. No, I'm using I3. That's not going to work at all. And that's not at all readable. What? Man, this dual screen is messing me up bad. All right. Well, now it works over here. That's odd. Nope. Do that. There we go. All right, so no. That's still. Can you guys see that at all? Man, it won't let me right click over here. That's what is? Huh. Okay. All right, so what we got is a series of files. These are templates, and using the include statement, you can include files from other things. You can also include variables. And there's a directory, I don't know if you can see it up here, it's called headers. And I use this to kind of populate the document with like default information, assessor's name, project name, customer name, so on and so forth. And if you look inside of headers, there's several files, and it's what I was talking about. So we could look at, let's say, client, headers, client. The variables are colon, and then whatever name you want to give it, colon. That's a variable, right? And you can include that in anywhere in your document, which is pretty flexible. I've lost my mouse. There it is. Okay. All right, so the way it works is this. Set number. Can you see that? Some of this is not legible, but the metadata at the top is what I showed you before. And then you got the include statements. The include statements import the yes, sir. Yes. What? No. I don't think that's an option. Is that not legible with the color syntax? Is that any better? Or worse? Better or worse? 2? So what this says here, let me find my mouse, what this says is include, colon, headers, assessors-headers.ad, and then there's a bracket. Okay? I'm sorry? No. I really don't. No, I actually cannot. All right. We can maybe do it in, let's see, gedit, if you prefer. I don't think Word has a problem. Oh, that's harsh, man. Harsh. gvim? All right. I don't know if I have gvim installed, but let's see. I do not. We're going to go with gedit instead. Projects. That one. Host template. Nope, wrong one. Report template. Is that better? All right, so here's the metadata that defines how the... Did I just make it worse by highlighting it? Really? All right. So you can see the metadata at the top. This is what we went over earlier. You can see the include statements, yes? Okay, so this pulls in other files that has other asciidoc documentation in there. And it also includes variables. The brackets at the end are where you can put captions. They're not really useful in this situation, but you can do it for images and other things. That's pretty self-explanatory, is it not? Yes? Okay. Let's scroll down, keep going. You got the executive summary, table, technical summary, blah, blah, blah. And then you can do appendix, which is nice. And it actually generates a very nice looking appendix. Hang on. And that's popped up over there, didn't it? True. I'm sorry? Yes, the question was, do the curly brackets pull in a variable? Yes, they do. So let's go. I got too much stuff going on here. All right. Headers. And assessors would be a good one. So let's say you were doing it, you would put your name, and you've got the author here, and it pulls in right here. So yeah, it's a variable, and you just have to include the include files further up than what you're referencing the variables. Again, we got tables, and so on and so forth. You can put notes in here, which is nice. Okay. This is not comfortable at all looking at the screen like this. So the way I've got it templated, you got rules of engagement, statement of work, report template. Can you guys see that, or am I just seeing it? Okay. And you can include scripts, images, and then so on and so forth. Man, the crash really messed me up bad. I'm like way off here. I had it set up very nicely. I got too many things in too many different directories, I think, is the problem. But, all right, so the trill is what I want. Nope. There we go. Nope. Oh, okay. We looked at that one. No, I can't show you that one. That's a big one. Well, all right, I'm going to move it over here for just a moment because it's easier to do. Daggone it. Projects. There we go, there we go. What is going on? You know what? Does anybody want a drink? Drink? You guys have drunk out, haven't you? Okay, I'm gonna drink. Any questions? This did not go well at all. I apologize. Yes? It is on Bitbucket, not GitHub. Why hasn't Bitbucket caught on more than GitHub? I mean, you can have free private repositories on Bitbucket. You guys know that? I don't understand why GitHub is so much more popular than Bitbucket. Is that it? Marketing? I've lost my mouse again. There it is. The templates will be up later. The source for this presentation is here. You know. All right, there was one thing I really wanted to show you. Oh, daggone it. All right. Virtual Vert Manager. There we go. So the Vim users, do you understand how you can have you piped command output from one command into your source document? Yes, no? I see a nod. I don't know Emacs. I saw one nod. All right, I'm going to show it to you then, because I think it's pretty rad. Here. Oh, man, you know what? Let's just call it. It's done. It's done. Thank you. You're too kind. Way too kind.